payback period, and there's a certain element of uncertainty associated with it that a little bit of the companies doing it have to face, and a little bit of it is taken up by the client. Because you don't always know what the exact ROI might be on each amount of money spent or each system that you install. And this, of course, translates to the accounting department as well. The solution for all of this, as we see, is CaaS, or cooling as a service. Now, what is cooling as a service? Cooling as a service is essentially a scheme where the operator, in this case Stout, owns and operates the chill water system and the entire HVAC system in the building, and is responsible for all the upkeep, the maintenance, and most importantly, the energy bills associated with the HVAC system. Now, how does this come into the picture for a regular building? If the operator and the investor and the one who's paying the electricity bills is the same, then we certainly have incentive to make the system as highly efficient as possible. What are the advantages for the users? Obviously, the most important one is that there's no capital expenditure. Whatever investment is required for installing the new equipment or the upgrades or energy efficiency solutions will be taken care of by the cooling as a service company. The client only has to pay a reduced operational expense, which is the gas fee monthly to the gas provider. And as a part of that, the accounting becomes simple because it's a simple fee which covers everything in it without the risks of investing in something where the ROI might be a seesaw approach. Then, of course, full outsourcing of the cooling solution. All building owners, all warehouse owners, school owners, mosque owners, these building developers, they have other businesses that they are a part of. Their core business and competency might be in something else. So what we do is outsourcing this big headache that you have on facility managing a cooling system, allowing you to focus your resources and your expertise in whatever business that you're good at. And this, of course, also results in a significant reduction in the carbon footprint of the building, because all of this would not be possible if the system was not highly efficient. Now, just a little bit about our company. Stout Energy has been in the space since 2006 in the Middle East, and we've taken care of new construction HVAC projects, HVAC AMC projects, and recently we went into the energy space as well. Stout Energy's cooling as a service program is simply an amalgamation of these three teams together. Since we have the construction teams ready, and the maintenance teams ready, and the energy teams ready, these three teams work in synergy so as to provide the most efficient cooling system in a particular location. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into how CaaS actually saves money for the client. Let's take about this sample building. It's a building which is a mall in Ajman, and we're using some figures so that you get an idea of how an actual contract would look like. The building has an annual electricity bill of around 3 million dirhams, and it's looking to upgrade its chillers, which will cost around 2.5 million dirhams because the building is around 20 years old. The building also has an annual maintenance contract given to a separate third party, which is around 200,000 dirhams. So if you look at this building, the annual operating expenses is 200,000, 3.2 million dirhams. And next year, since they're looking at a chiller replacement, they're also looking at a capital expense requirement of 2.5 million dirhams. Let's go about cooling as a service for this particular scenario. On the left, you can see the client's expenses as if no CaaS is applied. And on the right side, you will see if the CaaS scheme is applied. So you have 2.5 million for electricity, 3 million for electricity, 2.5 million for the new chillers, and the yearly spend on maintenance is 200,000 dirhams. Whereas all of that becomes 0, 0, 0 with one all-inclusive CaaS payment fee of 2.75 million dirhams. And the fee is roughly 10 to 15%, maybe lower than whatever you're paying for OPEX right now. In the first case, it's the client who's dividing up all his resources between the maintenance company, the the electricity utility, and the water utility. Whereas in the second case, is the client paying Stout a gas fee, and then Stout in turn takes care of the maintenance costs with its own team, pays for the electricity, as well as the water utility consumption of the chilled water system. Now, how does this actually work? The client just pays a pre-decided sum for gas based on the cooling area covered. That's one way, and the other way is based on the cooling consumed. Now, cooling consumed payment is very similar to the cooling payments that we're all aware of. Based on how many RTH you use, you pay a fee, and we're able to take care of the entire chiller system and its operation. In this case, we take full responsibility for the HVAC system, and we're responsible for ensuring cool spaces in all your open locations. Now, this is just a slide on the cost comparison. The capital cost associated with it, obviously, the capital expenses are zero for us, and if it's business as usual for you, there's a big capex involved. But more importantly, the operational costs also go down, because whatever you spend on electricity plus maintenance combined will be more than whatever gas fee we are able to offer. Now, why does it work? This money that's involved here, it does not come out of thin air. What we're doing is basically unlocking the resources that's involved and is locked into the inefficient systems. Because of the inefficient systems, a lot of resources are wasted, and all we're doing is taking that and splitting it up and channeling it into the new investments as well as the operational efficiencies. And when you have a regular maintenance scheme, there is no incentive for the maintenance provider to make the system better in any way possible. It's all about reaching the minimum KPIs that you have and doing it at the lowest price possible. Whereas the gas business model essentially locks us into making the most efficient system. Now, one common question that I get from clients is, okay, if we were to achieve a more efficient system, wouldn't we have done that already? You cannot assume that it's magic that you're able to bring the electricity cost down to 40% of what it is right now. So the analogy that I use is of my old car, my new car. See, on the left is my old car. It's an old Dodge Charger which had a V6 supercharged engine, and on the right is my current car, which is a Tesla with an electric motor. The old car used to get an average mileage of around 9 kilometers per liter. And when you convert that to energy terms, that's equivalent to around 1 kilowatt hour for each kilometer that you drive. So that's around 1,000 watt hours for every kilometer driven. For the new car, however, when you take into account the most efficient scenario, the mileage that I get is around 0.1 kilowatt hour per kilometer. And when you convert that into equivalent terms in petrol, there's around 90 kilometers per liter of petrol based on the energy consumed. So it's roughly a difference of 90%. I need only 10% of the energy I used to have in my old car, whereas on 1/10 of the energy, I'm able to drive the same distance in my new car. I still have all the facilities, I have air conditioning, I drive the same number of kilometers, I have everything going on. The only difference is that I spend much lesser in terms of OPEX. So it's the same concept in the chiller scheme as well. We replace it with new technology, have all the upgrades, and we're able to run your system at a much lower operating cost than what you have currently. And from this difference, we make our profits and have shared savings for you as well. So what are the features of any gas program? Of course, we'll have to have ultra-efficient equipment. We have to have chillers with the highest COPs available in the market. Only if the chiller and the entire system is efficient will we be able to maximize our returns as well. So essentially, it's in our best interest to have the most efficient system for you. Then of course, we use renewables because solar and wind right now is the cheapest forms of electricity available in the world. So it's also, again, in our best interest to have renewables on the platform wherever possible to bring the overall energy consumption down. Then there's increased use of automation because we also benefit from reducing our maintenance expenses. And improved automations means reduced requirement for labor and downtime, which essentially equates to more savings. Then of course the use of Industry 4.0, the use of AI, VR, and AR technologies, which actually saves money. I mean, these are all buzzwords that's very common right now, but we are actually able to implement it and save money as well. I'll just give you an example of what we do right now. Our project engineers don't really go to all the sites as much as they used to right now because of a system we have installed with the use of VR, which is we take a 3D scan of whatever location we visit of the plant, and all the technician has to do is take 3D images of the building, and we make the 3D model and send it to our project managers. So the project manager is able to sit in his office and go through the complete 3D model of a site he's not visited before, and this way he's able to visit 10 different buildings, whereas earlier he could do only one. This saves us money as well as time, and we're able to get an in-depth analysis of every single site we visit. So the crux of the contract is the customers dictate the space condition, that is temperature or humidity that they want, and Stroud or the cooling company is responsible for providing that temperature and humidity in whatever way possible. Now, what are the environmental impacts of this? The emissions reduction is obviously massive because, as I said, this model thrives on energy efficiency. And if you're able to bring down energy consumption by 50–60%, that essentially means the carbon emissions associated with the building also comes down by 50–60%. Then, of course, it falls in line with the Green Initiative of UAE, which is net zero by 2050. And for the clients, it's an easy way to achieve your CSR goals by outsourcing everything that's required to another company. We are part of the Gas Alliance, which is a member of the United Nations Environment Program. They're trying as a committee to spread cooling as a service across the world because we believe this model can bring about the maximum reduction in carbon emissions in this industry. So that's all for my time, thank you. And I hope I've been able to spread some light on this really innovative and interesting topic. Do we have time for some questions?
We do. Do we have any questions from the audience on cooling as a service?
Hi, thank you. Who provides the funding for the initial capex?
The funding will be by the cooling as a service company itself. If you happen to visit our stall outside, you can see that our main marketing phrase itself is free chiller replacement. Essentially, the client does not need to spend a penny out of their pockets for the initial investment because we'll be investing it. And where that investment actually comes from is in the future operational savings that we will be getting. And since we are paying for the electricity, we're sure that we can get the money out of it in terms of returns over the contract tenure.
So your competition will be other district cooling companies, right?
District cooling is different in that it's applicable for a bigger scale, maybe around 50–60 different buildings, and the infrastructure has to be in place already, the piping networks, the chiller system, all that together. Here the difference is that this can be applied to one single building, one single warehouse, where a chiller system or something similar is already in place. We can just come in, retrofit it, or replace whatever existing equipment is there, and essentially give it to you at a single gas fee payment scheme.
Okay, so like hospitals, schools?
Any commercial building will be feasible as long as it has at least 500 tons of cooling capacity requirement, because that's where the economies of scale kind of make sense for us. It's possible on lower scale models as well, because as I talked about in the previous slide, the Gas Initiative, which is part of the United Nations, they are spreading it across the world, and there have been several cases of gas companies in the Dominican Republic and in India where they do it on a micro scale, where they do it for small villages with minimal cooling requirements. The idea is same. There are case studies where they do it for villages, where the farmers have vegetables that they need to have in the cold storage, but they do not have enough money to invest in cold storage equipment. So companies who do it on that scale have cold storage facilities where the farmers can come and store the vegetables at a monthly fee, and in turn, the cooling part of it and the electricity consumption for the cooling part is taken care of by the gas company, while the farmer only has to pay a simple fee for that particular used amount. So the model is scalable across on multiple fronts. It's just that Stout Energy focuses on medium-sized buildings which are usually commercial in scale.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If you don't have any other questions, I'd like you to continue the discussion and joining our panel.
Sure, thank you.
We will shift it a little bit into retrofits,
Okay.
which is a big part of what you do